Updating breaking news right now. Police in Pelham still working to track down multiple suspects in a deadly late-night shooting. It's a story we first broke overnight in a WALB mobile alert, and since then we've learned the shooting may have stemmed from a fight over a pickup basketball game. WALB News 10 this morning, a man who led a deputy on a chase in Worth County is hospitalized after causing a crash that left his passenger and an innocent driver dead. WALB News 10's Caitlin Chastain is live outside Phoebe Putney Hospital, where the Georgia counties, and I grew up just south of LJ, and I always loved when snow would come because that meant one thing: school was out.
Yes,
loved hearing that on the news.
Well, if you're waking up,
TSB investigators will arrive in Decatur County to piece together what caused a plane crash that killed 2 Florida men Monday. This plane, a Cessna Conquest twin turboprop, was headed to Cairo Grady County Airport. Updating breaking news this morning, we now know the name of a man found shot to death overnight at an Albany business. The victim was found at a tax office on Palmyra Road. WALB News 10's Caitlin Chastain is live at the Lamar Park. Storm, depending on how powerful it gets on the eastern edge of that storm, you could get some severe weather. What's at risk here? Storm surges, lots of rainfall, and of course severe weather and the potential threat for tornadoes. Now let's go to some of the video, and you want to talk about some beautiful beach weather yesterday here in Panama City Beach. Take a look at this. Very nice outside. You wouldn't have even had a clue yesterday that a tropical storm watch was in effect here.
Yeah, beautiful. We've still got a shot here in Hinsdale, Illinois. Jay Gray, WALB News 10.
So you're saying there's a chance, Jay?
Click your heels 3 times.
Over the weekend, Carla, they were selling $1.2 million worth of Powerball tickets a minute.
So by 11 o'clock tonight, with everybody buying, that jackpot might increase.
Well, over the course of 24 hours, that adds up to about $1.2 billion. I did the numbers this morning.
Oh, look at you.
But I failed math 3 times in high school, so don't trust me. Alabama. What a waste. What a waste this was.
Think about education. You're helping education.
I guess so.
Okay. Well, if you're just waking up with us this morning, we know there were 3 winners to last night's record $1.6 billion. It got that high.
Yeah, it got up to $1.6 billion. That's right. Winning tickets sold, as you mentioned, in Florida as well as California and Tennessee. That's a cash value of around $930 million that will be split 3 ways. And take a look at this video. It was a party at the 7-Eleven in Chino Hills, California. A huge crowd gathered at the store last night where one of the lucky Powerball tickets was sold. The store's owner, he's also happy because that store is going to get a cut of the money. Time now 6:40. Now to a story we first broke in a mobile alert this morning. One person is dead after a police chase ends in a crash in Coffee County. It happened late last night in Nichols.
Ray Johnson died by lethal injection last night for the rape and murder of Angela Sizemore. WALB News 10's Cade Fowler witnessed that execution. He joins us live this morning outside the Georgia Diagnostic Prison in Jackson with more on Johnson's final moments and the crime that led to his execution.
Yeah, Carla, it was around 9:15 last night when the U.S. Supreme Court denied Ray Johnson's final appeal. 30 minutes later, I was in a small room surrounded by members of the Sizemore family, attorneys on both sides, and other members of the press. Before us, behind a window, was Ray Johnson. He was strapped to a gurney. He had an IV in his arm. He refused any final words. He refused a final prayer. That was at 9:44 p.m. 27 minutes later, he was dead, killed by lethal injection. Here's a look back at the crime that led to his execution.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
It's been 17 years since that guilty verdict sealed Ray Johnson's fate. Sentenced to death for the brutal rape and murder of Angela Sizemore. Her body found the morning of March 24th, 1994 in the front floorboard of a Chevy Suburban. Sizemore, the 34-year-old mother of 1, had been stabbed 41 times and brutally raped. She and Johnson were seen the night before drinking at a West Albany bar. Johnson told investigators he and Sizemore walked to a grassy area off 16th Avenue where they had sex. He said afterward he punched Sizemore in the face because she wanted to cuddle. It was here where investigators say she was murdered, less than a block from where Johnson lived with his mother. That same morning, 3 witnesses reported seeing Johnson board a city bus not far from where Sizemore's body was found. He was arrested that same day, shortly before he planned to board a bus to Tennessee. When confronted by officers, he said, quote, "I'm Marcus Ray Johnson. I'm the man you're looking for." As Johnson awaited trial, he escaped from the Miller County Jail after striking a deputy in the head with a gun. The deputy died months later from a stroke, but the attack wasn't tied to his death. In 1998, Johnson went on trial. Defense attorneys argued the evidence against him was circumstantial.
If it fails to prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, it would be your duty to acquit the defendant.
Prosecutors argued no one other than Ray Johnson could have committed the crimes.
Make them explain
explain why Marcus Ray Johnson had a blackout and memory loss on this day.
And a jury agreed. For the next decade and a half, Johnson and his attorneys would appeal the conviction, calling for additional DNA testing. A stay was granted just a day before his scheduled execution in 2011. 4 years later, those appeals failed, bringing once and for all an end to the life of a man behind one of Albany's most heinous crimes.
We, the jury, find the defendant.
Now, Johnson refused his final meal, and he spent his final hours with 5 family members, 1 friend, and his attorney. Now, among the witnesses last night to his execution was Katie Barker. She is the daughter of Angela Sizemore. Clearly a very emotional night for her. We're going to have more on that, as well as the final moments of Ray Johnson's life coming up in the next half hour. For now, I'm live in Jackson. Carla, back to you.
Thanks so much.
This morning, not the actual tale of the gator, but the story of landing these beasts. Take a look at some of the huge alligators taken this year. Some of those right here in South Georgia. The 2015 gator hunting season wraps up next week, and many of those lucky enough to draw tags set out on South Georgia waters in search of the next record gator. I recently went out on a gator hunt on Lake Seminole, where I learned these reptiles are not an easy catch, as these hunters have adapted to being the hunted. It's daybreak on Lake Seminole, and rising with the sun, some South Georgia gators. We tagged along with Dave Lesnock with Coweta County Gator Getters. He's trolled these waters for 12 years in search of massive swamp monsters. He's guiding Brad Patton on his first ever gator hunt. Do you have a goal? Big gator? Any gator? What?
You know, 8 or better, I guess.
It wasn't long before his goal appeared in sight, casting out a large snatch hook. A few tugs, and gator on. Fight, though, far from easy.
He's under something.
Minutes later, the gator's back up again and hooked a second time. But he manages to escape under some brush and lives to see another day. Some of his friends, not so lucky. Already this year, 2 12-foot-plus gators were taken in Lake Seminole. And remember this guy, the state record 13-foot, 10-inch gator? He, too, once called these waters home. But reeling in a monster gator is not always that easy, because oftentimes the bigger the gator, the wiser.
They're a million-year-old animal, so they adapted to the hunting situation.
And the popularity of the sport has grown. This year, Georgia issued more tags and lengthened the season. But as we witnessed, a gator is hard to outwit.
The first year we hunted, you could get right up on them. And now you're lucky to get 20, 30 yards from them. The success rate, I think, in statewide is like 29%.
Still on the lookout, Dave spots an elusive 13-footer he calls Bosco. But the wise old gator was on to us.
They are definitely, they're not a dime a dozen.
By morning's end, we saw many a gator, but Brad came up empty-handed.
So, disappointed?
No, not at all. It ain't over yet, you know. Still got a few days left to keep trying.
Still hopeful that he'll land that prize trophy gator. So many go after, but few ever get. How about Bosco?
I'm just proud of you. And you're here.
I'm still
in
here.
one piece.
You know, the day before, if I'd gone on that hunt, a lady got a 10-foot gator. But, you know, I must have been the bad luck charm.